A deep dive into APLY. So APLY is the Yieldmax fund for Apple. And you can see here on the Yieldmax website, it's a 34.86% distribution. And then if we come over here to the Morningstar charts, we can see that on a 1 year chart, APLY is down fractionally 0.17%. So that doesn't look good, but that doesn't tell the whole story because the underlying Apple on the same time frame is only up 3%. So it's within a couple percent of the underlying, which is all we're really looking to do with these Yieldmax funds. So you don't want to go all into these Yieldmax funds, just like the same way you don't want to go all into a stock. These Yieldmax funds are just for me to get some of those big distributions to pay the margin back on cornerstone and indexed ETFs where I'm really getting my performance. So that's why I'm not putting a whole bunch of money into APLY or AMZ or Babo, which I mentioned in 2 videos ago. Babo, which we're up about 10 or 12% since I made that video, which is doing great. But we're not going into these Yieldmax funds to try to see the biggest returns. We're going to these Yieldmax funds because they have the biggest distributions to pay that margin deck back as quickly as possible. And that's really the name of the game at the Fire Lifestyle. We're borrowing money to buy more Cornerstone. Cornerstone goes up. We use that extra equity that we're building in our account to buy Yieldmax funds, which gives us big distributions to pay that margin back. And that's how we're just snowballing our accounts, as you can see over there on Todd's channel. This stuff is working. He's been putting this in front of your face for years now. And the proof is in the pudding at this point. That's why I find it almost comical when these other YouTubers try to come at him. They are on a suicide mission one way or another. So let's compare a few more time frames just to show you guys. Let's look at the 3 month here with Apple. You can see Apple had a nice rebound in the last couple of months, up 15%. But you see, if we come over here to APLY in the same time frame, 3 months, with the dividends added back in, we're up 11%. So with the dividends added back in, we're performing very similarly to what you would do if you bought the stock. So let's go over here to the chart on E-Trade. So if Apple, the underlying for APLY, let's see. So scroll up a little bit. So this is the Apple chart here. So if we continue just kind of, chopping, up and down, kind of grinding sideways, that's where you're actually going to come out ahead with something like APLY because you're getting those distributions in the meantime. The reason I'm showing you guys Apple today or APLY today is because the chart looks similar to Amazon, to AMZ yesterday, is it hasn't had that real breakout moment like we've seen in a lot of other tech stocks like Oracle, like Google, like Facebook. We're not ripping way above all-time highs or meta, whatever you want to call it these days. So that's why I'm looking at Apple. It is a giant. It is a beast. I'm an Android guy, and I get made fun of all the time for not having an Apple phone. It's almost you're almost pressured by society to give your money to Apple. So why would you not want to own that? But if I want to own that, I prefer to own APLY and collect those distributions. Another reason why I'm posting this video today is I was talking to someone in the elevator yesterday, and they told me about the iPhone 17. So the iPhone 17 is coming out, and I think a lot of people are really excited about this. And there really hasn't been a new phone from iPhone that really got people excited in a long time. So I'm not a computer geek that knows all the details about the processors and the cameras and stuff like that. But it seems like there's a lot of hype around this phone. I've seen a lot of really cool colors out there and stuff like that. So I think this is another reason why now would be a good time to get into APLY. That's why I'm getting into APLY. I don't want to give advice out here, but I think it'd be a good idea for me to get more into APLY because of this story behind Apple, and just that the stock hasn't made that real big move to the upside yet. They have tons of cash on hand. They have tons of great products. They also have tons of data. Your phone is collecting data, and it is they're making money off of that data that they're collecting. So I'm expecting Apple to have a move similar to some of those other stocks I named, and that's why I am purchasing APLY in my account. And like I said before, is even if I'm wrong, even if we don't get that big move, these distributions will eventually cash flow. They will eventually pay for themselves. They will. This stock will eventually, or APLY will eventually, with those distributions, you will see a return. If you're patient enough and you wait enough, even if the stock doesn't perform well, if it doesn't perform as well as you anticipated, that's the difference between buying Apple and buying APLY. Is if you buy Apple right here and it grinds sideways for 2 years, you didn't make any money. If you buy APLY and it grinds sideways for 2 years, you did pretty good. So that's what we're trying to do over here with the Fire Lifestyle over there, Todd's Unconventional Wealth Idea channel. So I just want to remind you guys that the Discord's going away. for free at the end of the month, and his phone number's going away. He barely gets back to me now. I've been his best friend for 15 years now, and it's hard for me to have a conversation with him these days. So he is extremely overwhelmed. I'm glad that he looks a little bit more alive on this video. He was looking a little tired yesterday on his video. So if you like these little quick, informational type videos, give me a like, follow, subscribe, give me a comment down below, and I'll keep knocking them out for you guys. And I have some bigger ideas in the future for you.